Hey guys, what's up? This is Laculio here, and today I'm going to take a little break from the Let's Plays, and I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to do a review of the Roaring Skies set in English. I usually use PokeBeach for this, but as you guys, well, some of you guys know, PokeBeach's website is, well, looking weird. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they're hacked or something, but on their website they have some, like this big picture of some anime character and a bunch of, I think it's Hebrew writing. It doesn't make any sense. Go look at it. You'll understand what I'm talking about. But anyway, yeah, like I said, I'm gonna do something different today, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to do a review of the TCG set. Because like I said, I wanted to do a lot of Pokemon gaming stuff, not just like Let's Plays, but I want to do a lot of other things. Like I want to do Pokemon TCG, and I want to do like competitive battling soon once I get out of college, which should be like this Saturday is going to be my last day in college. So hopefully after this Saturday and after I get everything ordered and everything prepared, I can give you that guys that content. Also, I also want to give a special thank you to I think is the name is Omega Greninja, I think, for the advice of how to make my videos look cooler, which is another reason why I'm taking a break from Let's Play today because I've done a lot of recording already, and I'm going to wait until I can get the stuff to make my videos look a lot better. But I think it's really good advice. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate the message on Twitter. And speaking of which, follow me on Twitter if you haven't already. You get a lot of updates about when I post my videos, and plus just a little bit about my life that I probably don't mention in the videos. But anyway, all right. So we'll go ahead and show you guys the screen. Like I said, this is the Roaring Sky set. I'm not going to review every card because otherwise we're going to be on the really long video. So I'm just going to share what I think will be good and what is very interesting. Um, so, as you all know, this set is being released this Thursday, I believe, May 6th. No, wait. I think it's Wednesday. Yeah, it's Wednesday. May 6th, which is the day before my birthday. And I'm going to go ahead and do a little review on just my personal opinions on what's going to be good and what's not going to be good. So, Exeggutor is one that has a really interesting attack. It's called Shake It Off, or as I like to call the Taylor Swift knockoff. And the attack does 20 damage times the number of color Pokemon your opponent has in play. And, well, well, as you guys know, I don't think it's any surprise as of right now, but let me make sure my face is showing. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, colorless Pokemon are going to be really good because of a specific trainer card called Skyfield. Skyfield allows each player to have a Pokemon on their bench, which is really insane. Now, yeah, like I said, it's going to be really insane. Like, this means that everyone's going to have to either make room for 8 Pokemon in their playmats, or they're going to have to have bigger playmats or something. I mean, it's just really insane. And because of Skyfield, Exeggutor has potential. And because of colorless Pokemon, Exeggutor is going to have potential. And the reason why I say that is because of Mega Rayquaza. So, ooh, they actually show the full art on here. Really cool. So anyway, Mega Rayquaza, for those of you who don't know, Emerald Break does 30 damage times the number of your bench Pokemon. Plus, it has a Delta Evolution Ancient trait, which allows you to evolve it on the same turn that you play Rayquaza EX, which is really broken. And if you get enough Pokemon filled up on your bench, it's 240 damage already. So the main strategy of these colorless decks is to play Skyfield and play as many Pokemon as you can to power up Rayquaza's attack. And Exeggutor is going to be good for that reason. So in that little amount of time, I talked about both Mega Rayquaza and Exeggutor. Mega Rayquaza is the star card of the set, in case you guys haven't noticed. Alright, so let me go ahead and go down the list. And, okay, so another interesting card is going to be Beautifly. So, Beautifly's attack is called Miraculous Scales. It's basically like Safeguard, but a little dumbed down. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon EX. So it's just damage from its attacks, not all effects like Sigilif and Suicune, which is pretty cool because, I mean, honestly, Safeguard Pokemon are really annoying, and they're way too good. So I think that this, and plus, you know, the fact that Beautifly is a stage 2, that gives it even a lot more, like, dumbed down. Like, it had the number of, well, basically what I'm trying to say is, it got what it needed. which is a lot of dumb down. Alright, another interesting card is Ninjask. So, its ability Wing Buzz allows you to, once during your turn, if this is in your active spot, then you can discard a card from your hand to discard the top card of your opponent's deck. This is where Execute with Propagation comes in handy. You just discard and Execute, discard the top card of your opponent's deck. The only problem is it has to be in your opponent's active spot. I think that's a really cool idea. I don't think we've really had a competitive like a competitive discarding deck in a while. And it's kind of a shame that it has to be in the active spot, because, I mean, if you had like 4 Ninjasks in play, gosh, that would be annoying. So anyway, another interesting card is Shedinja. So, this is pretty interesting. Alright, so for 1 grass energy, curse rain, put 1 damage counter on each of your opponent's Pokemon. Then you can switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. Yes, it's not that great, but the other attack, however, Hopeless Screen. This attack does 50 damage times the number of damage counters on this Pokemon. Yes, I know it has 30 HP, but there are other ways to give it more HP. For example, Floette. Floette gives all your grass Pokemon plus 20 HP, I believe, for each Floette that you have. Plus, you also have Training Center, which gives all your Stage 1s and Stage 2s plus 20 HP. So, if you can find a way to work around this, then you have yourself a really, really, really good attacker. Cards to consider would probably be like Pokemon that does damage to the bench, and just like not only you're doing damage with that Pokemon, like for example, like I think the regular Landorus from Noble Victories and Legendary Treasures, it does 10. I think it does 80 damage and then 10 damage to each of your bench, or to each bench in general. There you go. This will power up Shedinja, and with Floette and the Training Center, it's going to give it even more HP to survive. So, yeah, I could definitely see this card having a lot of potential. Another card that could help out Shedinja, however, is Zapdos. So, like I said, Training Center gives it plus 20. It has 30 HP right now, plus 20, and then with all the Floettes, plus 20 more. And the cool thing is, the Shedinja's attack requirement is just 1 energy in general, so you can just run a lightning deck with Zapdos, and maybe a few Mega Man-tricks in between, just to amp up your deck. But anyway, Raging Thunder does 120 damage to the Pokemon, which it's pretty much 2 hit knocks out anything, which is really cool. And the attack does 40 damage to one of your bench Pokemon. So do 40 damage to Shedinja. It's already doing 200 damage for its attack. It's insane. That combo, I'm probably definitely going to run. It's not like anything that's busted, because it takes a lot of time to set up, but once you get set up, it's going to be really, really cool. Just be careful, though, because Training Center, if it gets knocked out, then Shedinja does lose 20 HP, and I believe it'll get knocked out. So that's why you want to run Floette, just to make sure that, I don't know if it's called Floette or Fleta, but just to make sure that it can stay alive. If you guys know which one I'm talking about the Floette, the one that evolves in the Florges, but in the Flash Fire set, that's a rare. It's a really good card. But I think it'd be really good with Shedinja. It's just gonna be busted. Shedinja should not have been a rare in that case. Well, anyway, enough about my little talk about Shedinja. Trying to find out other cards with potential, or that are interesting. Which Articuno is it? There we go. Ancient Trait Articuno with the Delta Plus ability, which means, well, not ability, but Ancient Trait. And if it knocks out a Pokemon, you get an extra prize card. And its attack Tri-Edge does 20 damage, and you flip 3 coins, and does 40 more damage for each heads. Yeah, it's not that good of a card, but like I said, it has some potential. So if it gets all 3 heads, it's doing 140 damage with Muscle Bands, 160 with the Hypnotoxic Laser, 170 with the Furbank City Gym, 190. But that's if you get all heads. So I just thought it's interesting. It's a pretty cool card. But anyway, I'm just going down the list here. Yeah, there we go. So, although Thunder's EX is not the best attacker in the world, I will say that. But it's still a pretty interesting card. Sorry, guys, let me make myself comfortable here. So, Headlock for lightning and colorless. You flip a coin. If heads, 30 more damage. If tails, your opponent's Pokemon is paralyzed. So either way, you're getting something good. But its other attack that requires 3 lightning energies does 150 damage, and then it does 50 damage to itself, which is really really cool because you can run Protection Cube to prevent that damage. It's not gonna one hit knock out any Ultra or any EX Pokemon at all, unless it's a really small EX like say Shaymin or Jirachi. But I'm just saying it's there. It could be a good Evil Tall counter if need be. Um, so don't really like a lot of people are like, Thundurus is really bad. It's not as bad as you think. It could be better, I will admit, but it's nothing to complain about. Um, there we go. I'm actually doing really good at this guessing game. I think the ancient trait's on the bottom. But anyway, the next interesting card is Beignet. So Beignet, its ability Tool Concealment. Each Pokemon tool in play has no effect. So all the Spirit Links, nope, they don't save you a turn. Muscle Bands don't do 20 more damage. Heart Charms don't save you 20 damage. It does nothing. I think Beignet would be really good in a deck that doesn't run any tools at all. But that's kind of hard to find because every deck in the meta, I think in my opinion, runs tools, unless there's excuse me, unless there's something I missed. Well, I guess Virizion Genesect doesn't really need I wouldn't say they don't need G Booster, but it's just an option. I'm probably just speaking too much now. Well, anyway, Deoxys is another very interesting card. So although his attack is really terrible, I'll go ahead and tell you what it does. For Psychic and Colorless Energy, Overdrive, Smash, it only does 30 damage, and during your next turn it does 60 more damage, which it's not good at all. But Close Encounter is actually not too bad at all. For a Colorless Energy, or if you have a Dimension Valley in play, it'll just be worth nothing. You can use this on your first turn. Like if you're going first, you can use it on your first turn, which is really cool. And you can draw 2 cards. Not bad. It's not really bad to start, but it's not as busted as it could be. All right, now for my personal favorite card of the deck. Actually, I'm going to find the full art because the full art looks really really cool. But yeah, Gallade EX. People are also selling this guy short, but there are other people who also see the potential that I see, which is really okay. So apparently there's no full art. So well, I mean there's a full art in the set, but oh wait. Duh, it's right there. Well, anyway, it's really the Gallade EX is actually not a bad attacker at all. Like usually when you have Mega Evolutions, the pre-evolution is not that great. But Manectric EX is pretty good, and now we have Gallade EX, who is actually also pretty. It's even better than Manectric in my opinion. I mean, just let's take a look at it. So for Psychic and Colorless, or if you have Dimension Valley, just 1 Psychic, you may have your opponent switch his or her active Pokemon with one of his or her bench Pokemon. 30 damage, and for that effect, not bad. But for 3 Psychic Energies, you're doing Piercing Prizes. This attack does 20 more damage for each of your remaining prizes, and it's already at 50 plus. So if you haven't picked up a prize yet, that is going to do 170 damage. That's knocking out most of the EXs in one hit. If you have a Muscle Band on Gallade, it's going to knock out every non-Mega EX Pokemon there is. Unless for some reason you're up against a Mega Diancie, then it'll knock out that. But I'm just saying he's a really solid attacker for the first time he knocks out a Pokemon. Because if you knock out an EX Pokemon with this attack, it's going to reduce the damage. So instead of doing 170, if you knock out an EX, you're going to be doing 130. So, which is still a 2-hit knock KO in like a lot of things, but it's not worth running a deck just around Gallade. But you're not going to run Gallade for Gallade. You're going to run Gallade for Mega Gallade. Mega Gallade, if they show the image. They don't show the image. Let me try to refresh the page. There we go. Gallade. The card itself says Mudo Blade, even though the English card is going to be called... Oh, wait, no, that's the Japanese. Okay. So, its attack in English is called Unwavering Blade, which is a lot better than Mudo Blade, because I don't even know what that means. But anyway, for 2 Psychic and a Colorless, or just 2 Psychic if you have Dimension Valley, he does 110 damage, and he does 30 damage to each Pokemon in your opponent's bench that has damage counters on it already. I wish that they would have not have made that strict. Although it would be totally busted if it wasn't that strict. But there are ways around Gallade. My personal favorite is Chandelure for a psychic energy. You can put 4 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. I know that I've already did a deck analysis on Goodra for the Winds channel on Mega Gallade if you want to go check that out. Um, but it's it's my opinion the best way to do it. I mean, I've had ideas like Crobat and Fortress, and believe it or not, Crobat was actually the first idea that came up with Mega Gallade. Well, I'm pretty sure it was the first idea that a lot of people came up with Mega Gallade because Crobat's really popular right now with Landers and Seismitoad. But the thing is, Crobat is really clunky. You have to run either a 3-3-3 or a 4-4-4 Crobat line in order to make it work. And plus, when you do that, you're only putting like damage counters on one specific Pokemon, and that's not guaranteed that you have Dusknoir out yet. Dusknoir is another card you want to run with this deck. I'll explain why in just a second. But the point is, the name of the game for a Gallade deck, in my opinion, would be to spread damage, not place a huge chunk on specific Pokemon. Because in order for this attack to do damage to Pokemon, it just has to have at least 1 damage counter on it for it to work. And if you spread that damage enough, it's going to add up really quickly. My Chandelure, Dusknoir, Mega Gallade deck, I have literally taken all 6 prizes in one sweep. And that's with knocking out a Mega Manectric. So it tells you how much damage it adds up really, really quickly. Because, I mean, 30 damage, and then if you have Dusknoir on the field to maneuver it to where you can knock out more Pokemon, it requires a lot of math, but it's really good. The Fortress idea, though, is not a bad idea. For those of you who don't know what Fortress does in the Flash Fire, whenever you play it onto your bench, you can place a damage counter on each of your opponent's Pokemon, no questions asked. Would be really good against stuff like a colorless deck, because, I mean, gosh, the damage would add up so quickly. Because if they have a full bench and you just slam down a Fortress, there's 90 damage already. The Mega Gallade attacks, there's 110, and then 30 to each of the bench. That's 240 damage in one go. And if you have a Dusknoir, that's going to be really good. So Fortress is a good idea. The only reason why I prefer Chandelure is because even if you run 4 Chandelure to start with, it's going to save a lot of space in the deck for other things. And although I am really tempted to just try out the Fortress build because I feel like that the Fortress build might be the better way in general. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, back to the other cards. Sorry I went on about that. I'm just so happy that Mega Gallade got a decent card. I just wish he would have been a fighting type, because then he could have abused things like Fighting Stadium, Strong Energy, and Machamp. Gosh, that would have been so good. Could you imagine a deck like that? Just like having the attacks that he has already, but fighting type? That'd be so ridiculous. Alright, well anyway, so another interesting card is Absol, Cursed Eyes. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may move 3 damage counters from one of your opponent's Pokemon to another one of his or her bench Pokemon. So it's a rundown Dusknoir, basically, which I think that once Dusknoir is rotated, he might be the way to go, but don't quote me on that. Jirachi is a very, very pretty good card, actually. So for Metal Energy, for Diminutive Desire, look at the top 7 cards of your deck and put one of them into your hand. Shuffle the other cards back into your deck afterwards. Not bad, not bad. But Steal Energy and Colorless. Discard all energies attached to this Pokemon. The defending Pokemon is knocked out at the end of your opponent's next turn. Now, that I don't know how that's going to work, like ruling-wise, because I mean, if it goes back to the bench, I don't know if that means that the rulings are canceled out. But if that's the case, then this card is going to be really, 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 really good. I mean, he's only got 70 HP, yeah, but he's only given up 1 prize. Just 1 prize. And if it gets knocked out, like, I don't know. I'd have to see the ruling to make sure that I know that he's going to be really good. Or you could run like a Hypnotoxic Dragalge so your opponent can't retreat, but then Keldeo can still butcher that strategy to pieces. But it's still really interesting. I mean, I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. It's really interesting. Well, anyway, Togekiss is another really good card, and it has the Delta Evolution ability, which makes it even good. Or even better, sorry. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may look at the top 8 cards of your deck. Choose any basic energy you find there and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. Shuffle the other cards back into your deck. This card is going to have a lot of potential. And play, I mean, yeah, I know it's a stage 2, but I see that's one thing I don't like is that now that the Pokemon, I think the Pokemon companies is trying to bring back the stage 2 Pokemon because where they're not good because of Seismitoad now, because you know it shuts off rare candy. They're trying to their best by giving them really broken abilities, but nobody still runs them. But I think that Togekiss has a lot of potential. Don't get me wrong on that. All right. Anyway, another interesting card is the Ancient Trait Dragonite. It has a Delta Plus ability, so that's an awesome thing. But another thing, well, it has 2 attacks. Lightning, Wrapped in Wind, attach up to 2 basic energies from your hand to this Pokemon, which is not bad. It actually helps with its other attack, Heavy Impact, which does 150 damage for a 3 grass, a lightning, and a colorless, no questions asked. And with Double Dragon Energy, I'll actually get to that card right now since we're on that topic. It's gonna be even better. Like, the only thing that sucks though is that it's a stage 2. But the fact that it does 150 damage plus it has the Delta Plus ability, that makes it pretty good. I mean, like I said, I just wish it would be a little better. But Double Dragon Energy, this card is going to make dragons really, really good. I probably should have introduced this before I start talking about Dragonite. But anyway, it can only be attached to a dragon Pokemon, and it can provide 2 energies of any type of your choice. But it can only provide 1 at a time. So, this is basically like Double Rainbow Energy, but only for dragons. It's really, really cool. Speaking of dragons, let's talk about the interesting and the good ones. Altaria is an interesting one, because once Colress gets rotated, this might be the card to run. Shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw a number of cards equal to the number of bench Pokemon. Excuse me. So, it's interesting, but it's not like awesome, but I think that once Colors gets rotated, it'll be on the good level. Salamence is a really, really good card for a stage 2, but unfortunately, it's a stage 2. It has 160 damage 160 HP for one thing, which is really, really good for a non-EX. Like, that's only 10 less than the average EX, which is usually 170, 180. I mean, it's not that much lower, and it's only giving up 1 prize, which is really, really cool. And it has 3 attacks. This is the second Pokemon in the XY series with 3 attacks. The first one being Lucario EX. But for 1 fire energy, you're doing 60 damage, and you're discarding any stadium in play, which is very good. It's just like a rundown wreck for Donphan. Power Howl. This attack does 20 damage times the number of cards in your opponent's hand. So it's not the best thing in the world, but if they just activated Colress and they don't get anything they needed for some reason, that's going to do a lot of damage. So if you have a full bench, that can do up to 200 damage. But if you have a full bench with Skyfield, let's see, that can do up to 320 damage. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Power Howl is not the best attack in the world, but it's definitely got some potential. And Steam Blast for 170 damage. Discard 3 energies attached to this Pokemon. I don't like that you have to discard 3 energies in order to use an attack that costs 170 when Mega Rayquaza is even better, which I'll get to that in just a second. But it's just, I mean, it's still there, and it's got a lot of potential. I just hope that there's a way to get rid of that. I mean, maybe run Blastoise and energy retrievals. I don't know. Because, I mean, you can use water energies, and you have the double dragon energy to cover the fire. So, there are ways around Salamence, but I don't know if it'll be worth running. Although, Reshiram's an interesting card. I'll go ahead and get to that right now before we get on to the EXs. Reshiram is actually going to be really good in a Rayquaza deck, especially, which I'll get to Rayquaza in just a second. But once during your turn that this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, you may attach a Fire Energy card from your hand to one of your Dragon Pokemon. So, you could literally play Reshiram, attach a Fire Energy for the turn, activate Reshiram's effect to attach a Fire Energy to Rayquaza, play a switch into another Reshiram, attach a Fire Energy to Rayquaza, and then switch to Mega Rayquaza. And if he's powered up, do a lot of damage. And I'll show you guys the damage in just a second. We got one more Dragon Pokemon to talk about, and then I'll talk about Rayquaza. So, Latios CX. Latios CX is actually Not a bad attacker at all. For psychic, for just one psychic energy, you're doing 40 damage. And if it's your first turn, I mean, if you're going first, then you can use this on the first turn. Not bad at all. The other attack is a little lame, though. I mean, for 2 Psychic Water and a colorless Light Pulse for 110, prevent all effects of your opponent's attacks except damage done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn. It's not lame, it's just mediocre. I mean, 4 energies to do 110 damage is really bad when Salamence can do 170. I mean, yeah, this has, like, a good thing with it where Salamence has a bad thing to it, but still. I mean, it's an EX, so you'd expect a little more. But then again, you wouldn't run Latios for Latios, you just run it for Mega Latios, which is not a bad attacker, but I feel like that this will be ran in with Mega Rayquaza for this reason. So okay, discard 2 energies to this that are attached to this Pokemon, and this attack does 120 to any one of your opponent's Pokemon. So Shaymin has 110. Shaymin EX, which we'll get to in just a second, which is a really good card. And it's an EX. That's a free 2 prize right there for you. So I feel like that Dragon Dex will start like run a 1 of Mega Latios, because if you have a double Dragon energy and like 2 fire energies, you can just discard the fire energies to get rid of one of the Shaymins on the bench for a free prize. It's not a bad card at all. I think they really made this card specifically because of Shaymin, because Shaymin is just so good. I don't think he's going to be as good as people are making him out to be. Like, people are just like, yeah, we should run like a 4 of Shaymin, because it does take a lot of bench space. But I do think that like colorless decks should run a lot of Shaymin, just because, you know, they have that bench space to play Shaymin, but other decks don't. So I'd say like run 1 Shaymin in each deck, and that's it. Well, anyway, enough about that. I'm not going to talk about Rayquaza EX because I don't think Rayquaza EX is that good. And that's the reason why I didn't talk about Rayquaza EX over here, is because I don't think he's that good. Actually, I'm wrong. But we'll get to that one in just a second, because we're almost in the colorless Pokemon. Mega Rayquaza. So first of all, it has a very unique ancient trait, because it's not like any of the other Deltas. Usually you see Delta Plus or Delta Evolution. This is Delta Wild. Any damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Grass, Fire, Water, or Lightning Pokemon is reduced by 20. So this means that Mega Manectric cannot even if it wasn't for this, it still wouldn't be able to 2-shot a Mega Rayquaza, because it's at 230 HP. But it also means that Virizion Genesect's G-Booster does a little bit less damage, and Megalocannon is going to do a lot less damage. Seismitoad is going to do less damage, which is really, really, really good. I mean, this is actually a really good ability. I mean, this is based off of the Dragon's Resistance, which is every elemental type in the game. So I think that's really good. By element, I mean like fire, water, grass, lightning. You get my drift. But it's really, really good. Dragon Ascent does 300 damage for 3 fire, a lightning, and a colorless. It's a lot of energies, but you have a lot of support for that. And you'll only have to discard 2 attached to Mega Rayquaza, which is really good. You have a lot of support for that. As I mentioned, Reshiram, and plus you have Blacksmith. If you discard 2 fire energy attached to Mega Rayquaza and then play Blacksmith, that's another 300 damage done already. Very good in my book. So I personally like the colorless Rayquaza a lot more, because it's easier to set up, and in my opinion, it has more potential. Plus, you know, Shaymin makes it really good. But, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, this Rayquaza is bad. I'm just saying that the colorless Rayquaza is a lot better. Alright, so more cards with potential. We've talked about Mega Rayquaza EX's Emerald Break, just to give you a brief recap of what we talked about earlier. But Rayquaza EX isn't bad. I mean, you won't use his other attack unless you're trying to go for game for some reason, which is Dragon Pulse, 3 colorless, and you discard the top 3 cards of your deck. I'd say run Mega Charizard, because for 2 more cards, you're doing 300 damage. But Intensifying Burn, for 1 energy, does 10 damage, but if it's an EX Pokemon, it does 50 more. So 1 energy, 60 damage is not bad at all. It's decent. I mean, if you don't have Mega Rayquaza, it's good to, and you're up against an EX Pokemon, it's definitely good to go off of. And Altaria is going to be really good support for this too. It's for so it's a stage 1 Pokemon, plus it has the Delta Evolution ability, which is really good. Its attack sucks, but its ability is really good. Each of your colorless Pokemon has no weaknesses, which means that Mega Manectric is not going to be able to one-shot all of your Pokemon, which is really, really good. But, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, Shaymin is also going to make this deck really, really, really good. And according to Troll and Toad, it's the most expensive card of the whole set. And I can see why. Its ability is set up. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand. So I think that once Jirachi is gone, Shaymin will be the one to replace Jirachi. It's like instead of every deck running a Jirachi just so you can keep your deck consistent, it's going to be Shaymin. Because if you Ultra Ball, get rid of the last 2 cards in your hand for a Shaymin, you bench a Shaymin, that's free 6 cards right there, and you haven't even played your supporter yet, which is really good. And its attack also helps with its ability. Sky Return. Return this Pokemon and all cards attached to it to your hand. That's very good. Shaymin is very good. Its attack is not really worth that much running, but its ability, I'd say do it. Alright, so that's all the Pokemon. Let's talk about the items. I'm not going to talk about the Spirit Links because you guys know what they do already. Healing Scarf is new to me, though. I have not seen this one yet, and I don't know what it does. So let's go ahead and look at this together. Whenever you attach an energy card from your hand to the Pokemon this card is attached to, heal 20 damage from it. Wow. That makes Blastoise and Emboar decks really good. But unfortunately, like I said, they're stage 2. But it's still a really good card. I'm not saying it's bad at all. It's pretty darn good. Yeah, as I mentioned before, the Spirit Links, we get a reprint of Revive. Skyfield, we've already talked about. Steven. Now, Steven's a very interesting supporter card. And I don't know if we're going to get the full art in this set or not, but I hope we do, or in our English set, but I hope we do because the full art just looks really fantastic, and I would love to have that in my collection. But anyway, once Skyla is rotated, I think Steven's going to be the replacement for Skyla for now. Search your deck for a supporter card and a basic energy card, reveal them, and put them into your hand. Shuffle your deck afterwards. So it's basically saying, okay, you want a Sycamore? Here you go for next turn. Plus you get an energy card. I mean, it's really, really good. The reprinting switch, for even though they've already had a gold reprint for the last set, doesn't make any sense. Trainer's Mail. Very interesting card. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a trainer card you find there and put it into your hand. Shuffle the other cards back into your deck. It has potential, but I don't see it, being run in every deck. Ultra Ball's being reprinted. Wally. Wally's got a really interesting effect. I think this would be good to run a one of in any deck that has a lot of evolutions in it. Search your deck for a card that evolves from one of your Pokemon, excluding Pokemon EX, and put it onto that Pokemon. Shuffle your deck afterwards. You can use this card during your first turn or a Pokemon that was put into play this turn. So, it's basically like Delta Evolution, but in a supporter version, which is pretty good. It's not awesome, but it's really good. Widelens is another trainer card that has been released. It will show. Okay. Damage from the attacks of the Pokemon this card is attached to is affected by weakness and resistance for your opponent's bench Pokemon. I'd say that this would be really good for like Mega Gallade, like if you run Tool Retriever and get rid of the Spirit Link they've already had attached to it. But not a lot of competitive Pokemon that are weak to Psychic these days except Mewtwo and a Lucario and probably a few more that I'm missing, like Deoxys maybe, if anybody still runs Team Plasma. But definitely worth considering for Widelens. Winona. Now this is like the supporter of the whole set because it's the best one. Well, at least if you're in a colorless deck. Search your deck for up to 3 colorless Pokemon and put them into your hand. Shuffle your deck afterwards. The full art looks really good. So this card's going to make Skyfield Rayquaza even better, in my opinion. So we've talked about all the EXs, and I'm not going to go over the full arts because that's going to take even more time. But I do want to say that they are going to make a gold energy switch and a gold VS Seeker, which is actually, the VS Seeker is a really good strategy in that part because everybody runs VS Seeker. Energy Switch, not so much, but you get the drift. So anyway, that's the entire Roaring Sky set coming out this, well, May 6th. I'm probably going to post this video later, like, I don't know when it's going to be posted, but it'll be before Roaring Skies, I guarantee that. Well, anyway, that's my review of this set, guys. I'd like to thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more content. I will do more Pokemon stuff. It doesn't have to be Let's Play. Like, I know I've been doing a lot of Let's Plays, but this is like taking a break from it. That way I can do other things. Hopefully I'm going to start some openings soon on my channel. Sorry, my glasses keep falling off. And hopefully I can get a few matches with my girlfriend soon, Lady Dunsparce, to put more content on my channel that's not Let's Play, just to get different content, because I know that a lot of you are probably sick of seeing Let's Plays already, and you want to see something different. But, and also, hopefully I can get more content for you guys. Like, I'm planning on playing VGC competitively soon. And I'm also planning on, like I said, doing openings. So stay tuned for that. And if you guys have any ideas of what you want to see, just leave in the comment section below, and I'll definitely take it into consideration. And once again, thank you, Omega Greninja, for the message on Twitter telling me how to make it even better. I'll definitely try to do that before I record any more episodes. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you have an awesome day. But more importantly, stay cool.